Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's reading lesson. Now, in our reading lessons last week, we looked at the book Pumpkin Soup by Helen Cooper, and we did some inference questions and some retrieval questions on the book. Now, this week, we're going to be starting a new book called Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is by Roald Dahl. Do you remember when we read George's Marvellous Medicine? That was also by Roald Dahl, wasn't it? Now, by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to answer some retrieval questions about the text. So you'll be able to retrieve, you'll be able to pick out pieces of information from the text to answer some questions on it. And we're also this lesson going to be looking at some vocabulary. We're going to try and use the words around the word that we're looking at to try and work out its meaning. Okay, now before we start with our retrieval questions and reading the book, we're going to do what we did last time, which is to predict what the book is about based on the front cover. So let's have a look. Well, on the front cover, we can see a fox, and the fox is walking, isn't it? That must be Fantastic Mr. Fox. Now, the fox is carrying a bag, and the bag has something in it. Is there a clue to what's in the bag? Where is he going with the bag? Why has he got the bag? And it's nighttime, isn't it? We can see the moon. Why is he walking at night? Well, here are some questions. Why is the fox fantastic? What does the fox have in his bag, like we just said? Why does the fox have the object in his bag? What time of day is it? Well, we said it's nighttime, but why do you think it's nighttime? Why do you think he's walking at nighttime? And what type of book do you think this will be? Will it be an adventure story? Will it be a happy story, a sad story? You need to predict the answers to all of these questions. So you can either pause the video and have a think about them yourself, or if you're with somebody, you can talk to them about the questions, okay? So pause the video now and predict what the book is about. Okay, Year 2, did you make your predictions? Well, now we are going to look at the blurb of the book. So the blurb of the book is the back of the book. And the blurb tells us a little bit of information about what the book is about. So let's see if the blurb answers any of our prediction questions. So Mr. Fox steals food from the horrible farmers, Boggis, Bunce and Bean. One fat, one short, one lean. Well, there you go. Maybe because he was walking with a bag. Maybe it's because he's stolen some food from the farmers. So maybe he has some food inside his bag. And it's nighttime, isn't it? So that's probably why, because he's stolen some food, so he doesn't want anyone to see him. Because if he was walking in the daytime, they might spot him. The three farmers might spot him. Okay, so that's answered a couple of our questions, hasn't it? Now, let's read the rest of the blurb. So these three crooks concoct a plan, so they make a plan to dig Mr. Fox out of his home. But they don't realise how truly fantastic Mr. Fox is, or how far he'll go to save his family. So there you go. Maybe that's why he's got the food in his bag, because he wants to feed his family. Maybe he's trying to save his family because they don't have enough food. Okay. Now, it doesn't tell us why Mr. Fox is fantastic. So we are going to have to read the book to find that out. Okay. So let's start reading. I have sent you the pages to the first chapter on the document that's called Year 2 Reading, 20th of January, Resource 1. Okay, so you can use that, or if you have the book yourself, brilliant, and you can use that. Now, let me get my book. Okay, chapter 1. Are you ready? The three farmers. Down in the valley, there were three farms. The owners of these farms had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All three of them were about as nasty and mean as any men you could meet. Their names were Farmer Boggis, Farmer Bunce and Farmer Bean. Can you see the three farmers on the picture? I wonder which one's which. I'm sure we'll find out. Now, the first sentence on this page says down in the valley there were three farms. Now, that tells us where the farms were. The farms were down in the valley. Do you know what a valley is? Shall we find out together? So, a valley is a noun, okay? And it has two syllables. Shall we clap them together? 3, 2, 1, valley. There you go. Now, a valley is a low area of land between some hills or some mountains. So can you see in the picture, there are mountains either side, and then there's a flat piece of land in the middle. Well, that's the valley, okay? So now you can almost imagine where the 3 farms were in the story. They were on the flat piece of land, like in that picture, between the mountains. So an antonym, so the opposite of a valley, would be the summit of a mountain, so the top of the mountain, because the top of a mountain or the summit is very high up, isn't it? But a valley is very low down and it's flat. Okay, so now you know that, you can almost imagine where the farms were. Now let's carry on. So page number 2, if you want to turn over. Boggis was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens. He was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch and supper. Oh, he must have been very full, mustn't he? I don't think I could eat all of that. Now you can see him in the picture eating his chickens, can't you? But it tells us that the boiled chickens were smothered with dumplings. I wonder what the word smothered means. Do you know? Okay, let's find out together. So the word smothered, if it's smothered in something or smothered with something, it is a verb, okay? Now, how many syllables does it have? Should we count them together? 3, 2, 1, smother. There you go, it has 2. And that means to cover something completely. So can you see the pictures of the strawberries? We can say that the strawberries are smothered with or smothered in chocolate because they're covered in chocolate. You can hardly see the strawberry, can you? So it means that it's covered in something. Now, if you remember, in the book it says they're smothered with dumplings. Now, a dumpling you can see in the top corner in the picture. Can you see the dumplings there? So that is what the chickens were smothered in. So they were covered in these dumplings that you can see in the picture. So no wonder he was full. He's eating 3 chickens and he's also eating dumplings because it's smothered with dumplings. Okay, let's carry on reading the story. So now we're on page number 3. So Buns was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese. He was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short, his chin would have been underwater in the shallow end of any swimming pool in the world. His food was donuts and goose livers. He mashed the livers into a disgusting paste and then stuffed the paste into the donuts. This diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. Now, would you like to have eaten those donuts? I don't think I would if they were stuffed with liver. That doesn't sound very nice, does it? Now it says his diet gave him a tummy ache as well. No wonder if he's eating donuts stuffed with liver paste. They sound disgusting. Now it also says that the donuts give him a beastly temper. Now let's look at the picture and see if we can work out what the word temper means. What does Buns look like? How do you think he's feeling in that picture? Yes, that's right. He looks rather angry, doesn't he? So if you have a temper, you get angry quite easily. So what do we think the word beastly means? Because he's obviously angry. But what does beastly tell us about how angry he is? Shall we find out? So beastly is an adjective, so it's describing his temper. His diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. Now let's count how many syllables there are. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Beastly. There you go. So 2. And beastly means very unpleasant. So an awful temper, a horrible temper, a nasty temper. Okay, and you can almost tell that in the picture. He looks very angry, doesn't he? Brilliant. Now let's move on. So now we're on page number 4. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. He kept thousands of turkeys in an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food at all. Instead, he drank gallons of strong cider, which he made from the apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. Now, on that page, it tells us that Bean kept thousands of turkeys in an orchard. Now, what is an orchard? Let's carry on reading the sentence, see if we can find out. An orchard full of apple trees. So can you pause the video now and have a think? What do you think an orchard is if it's full of apple trees? Okay, Yetu, shall we find out together? So an orchard is a noun, okay? And how many syllables does it have? 3, 2, 1, orchard. There you go. It has 2 syllables, like the other words that we've looked at. Now it means an area where fruit trees are grown. So in the book, it was an orchard because there were apple trees being grown in the orchard. And can you see the picture? Well, that's an orchard. What type of tree is being grown there? Yes, there are apple trees in the picture. Maybe that's what the farmer's orchard looked like. Who knows? Okay, so let's go back to the book, page 5. Boggis and Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were none the less equally mean. That is what the children round about used to sing when they saw them. Okay, so they're singing a little poem, aren't they? Can you spot the rhyming words in the poem? Pause the video now and see if you can spot them. Okay, Yetu, did you spot the rhyming words? Well done if you did. Well, the rhyming words are bean and lean. Can you hear how those rhyme? Bean and lean. And then there's crooks and looks. Can you hear how they rhyme as well? Crooks and looks. Brilliant. So this is the poem that the children used to sing. Now it also has the word lean in it. Okay, if you're lean, what are you? Do you know? Well, let's find out together. So looking at the picture here of bean, what do you think lean means? Well, lean is an adjective, so it's going to describe bean, isn't it? What do you think it means? Well, yes, Bean's rather thin, isn't he? So there you go. Lean means thin, and it normally also means thin and healthy. But we know from the story that Bean isn't healthy because he doesn't eat anything, and all he drinks is cider. So therefore, we can't say that he's healthy, but we can say he's thin. And that's why they're calling him lean in the poem, because he's thin.